Buenas tardes. How's everyone doing this afternoon? Good, good. I appreciate seeing a sea of multitude of folks out there. I'm here as a Cuban, as a Cubano. I'm going to make sure that I try to seam this down to about 10 minutes, even though I know that I speak rapidly fast. Even my students, my colleagues, and so forth tell me that it's information. But I look forward to enjoying this journey with you folks. So first and foremost, isn't this beautiful? Yeah, would we want to be there right now? This is Miami Beach, also known as South Beach to individuals. This is where I was born. Miami Beach is home for me. It's also an opportunity for me to come home, engage, and spend time with my family and friends. But one of the funny things that I'll tell you is that a lot of my friends that live in Miami, they love to use this hashtag that says, I live where you vacation. The reality is they don't. They don't live there. They live in Kendall. They live in Homestead. They live in La Sahuacera. So don't let them fool you when they put that hashtag up there. So, as I was born in Miami Beach, I was raised in Homestead, Florida. Homestead was put on the map about 25 years ago this year when Hurricane Andrew came down and took us apart a little bit, but this is little Cuban Juan back in the day. There was no comparison with regards to my father making sure that I was going to be raised playing the tumbadora. That was something that was very instrumental in my upbringing with not only my father, my mother, and my brother. But speaking of my family, this is my mother and my father. And I'm not surprised, or they would probably be a little bit upset if they saw that I utilized this photo. This is them in their 70s best. So mommy has the blowout. She wanted to make sure she had the Gloria Vanderbilt jeans on. Shout out to Anderson Cooper on that one. This is a picture of us in 1979 when we were in New Jersey visiting some of their family and friends. My parents came over to this country in the mid-60s. My father came when he was a 16-year-old young man. My mother came when she was 15. They met in this country, married in Miami, moved to New Jersey. After 3 months, almost roughly about a year, my dad was like, I cannot live this, I cannot do this weather. Back to Miami, Florida we go. But because of my parents, it was something that they really instilled, not only myself and my brother and I, was the importance of education. I am a proud graduate of public education, and that is something that I'm really excited to share with you folks over the course of this afternoon. I am a first-generation college student. I am the first to have moved away from home. So I attended what's now known as Miami-Dade College. It was Miami-Dade Community College. I went to the Homestead campus. At that point, there were 5 campuses. We have about 8 campuses now. So I was the first to go there. I did transfer and go to Florida State University, go Noles, where I did my undergraduate work and my master's work in higher education. If you know anything about Florida, Miami-Dade's in South Florida, Florida State is in Tallahassee. I was trying to figure out how is the furthest that I can get away from my parents, but still be in state. So 8 hours is a good enough time where if my mom and dad said we can get in the car and come see you, I still had a whole day before they catch up and I could see them at the house. But education was such an important factor for me because it was something that my parents did not have the opportunity to engage when they got to this country. My father, up to this day, works in a factory in Hialeah, Florida. My mother was a housekeeper for personal folks and for offices. So they really made it to well be known from both my father, my brother, and my mother and I that education was really the key for us into moving forward. I'm sure many of you have seen this model. It's Jones and McEwen's Multiple Dimensions of Identity model that came out in 2000. This came out 17 years ago when I was a second-year master's student in my graduate program. And this model really spoke volumes to me with regards to who I was as an individual, with regards to my own identity development process. At its core for me was really specifically who I was and who I chose to self-identify. Specifically as a man who identified as Latinx, being privileged to be an able-bodied individual, to identify as a cisgender gay male. To me, this really spoke to who I was as an individual, but also looking at it from the aspect of contextual influences, peers, family, stereotypes, and so forth. So including those contextual influences, my family, they are my foundation, they are my rock, ellos son mi piedra. Wherever I've lived in 5 states in 16 years. And they've always done whatever they can to either visit or follow me. As you'll see in this video, it is my mother, my brother, my sister-in-law, my niece, my cousins, second cousin. Right down in the middle is who I consider the light of my life, my niece, Adriana. She is a senior at Florida International University. She's a Panther through and through in Miami. So I am super excited to have someone continue in my family in their educational journey. Above and beyond family, it is my mother. My mother has always and will be the love of my life. And then significantly, I definitely want to give a shout out to my significant other, my partner of the last 2 years, my Boricua, Jose. And so he is my ride or die and has been fully supportive, even in the midst of we are in a long distance right now, but that is something that we make sure that we work through. But these two individuals are those that I can count on and are always there to back me up. Peers. My peer network, to me, is incredibly important. And so for these individuals, these are my best friends. These two men, Bobby and Andrew, are my brothers. Amy, I'll just put it out there, she's a badass. She is a lieutenant back in South Florida. She used to be an SVU, so I used to call her my personal Olivia Benson, because we're both SVU fans. These are individuals that keep me on my toes, remind me of who I am, always keep me grounded. And for a lot of them, they've always known me as Juanitín, not as Dr. Guardia. They don't know who Dr. G is. They just know me as Juanitín. I would be remiss if I did not mention my organization, my fraternity. This is an extension of my peer network amongst a group of brothers, which is actually really important to me because it gives me the opportunity to engage with other educated Latinx men. We encourage in having that dialogue, really looking at it from our motto of fuerza, integridad y amistad. And so to me, that is an additional facet that provides me the opportunity to connect with other Latinx men across the world. And above and beyond that is being a member of a Freemason. That to me is my opportunity to connect with regards to the morale, the ethics, and the principles of brotherly love, and also connecting with other individuals, not only in the United States, but across the world as well. What I do want to share with you here are some of the 5 principles that were shared with me with regards to Latinx principles by my family, by my mother and my father, that to me are something that I work with not only on a personal basis, but on a professional basis as well. The first is el carácter, someone's character. So something that I was always told by my parents is to always take a look at when you're working with an individual, what their character is. What is their morale? What is their strength? What is their integrity? What does that look like? That is something that I want to make sure that I'm always engaging with, not only with my peers, my colleagues, but also with my students. Something that I always have on every campus that I've been on that I've always reminded my students is, how are you living out these specific aspects of your life on a daily basis? And I encourage that dialogue when I'm always, whether it be as an academic advisor or a student advisor and so forth. The next is competencia, their competence. And so what are we doing as student affairs professionals to build our students' competence? What are we doing with regards to that being inside of the classroom? What's it like outside of the classroom? Their transferable skills. I know personally for me, I've been in my position at University of Cincinnati as an assistant vice president for student affairs and dean of students for the last 8 months. And the reality is I know I don't know anything, but I know what I have to do and how to get it done. And that is something that I always want to make sure that I not only provide that for my students, but also for my vice president and for my leadership team. Next comes compassion, la compasión. I'd say this is probably at the foundation of everything that we do within student affairs. We are individuals that are compassionate. We're always looking out for our students and for our peers and our colleagues with regards to finding ways to not only advocate, what are we doing with regards to sharing of ourselves, what are we doing to, and my most important is, what are we doing to being vulnerable? What are we doing to make sure that we're providing who we are as an individual and sharing those aspects of ourselves in our daily conversations with our workers? El respeto, something that was genuinely, mostly, almost all the time told to be by my father and my mother. So what does el respeto look like? To me, it's the opportunity to find out who's at the table, who's not sitting at the table, how can we make sure that we bring them to the table and make sure that it's done in a respectful and autonomous opportunity so we can engage in that dialogue. My philosophy when working with my colleagues and with my students has always been autonomy with accountability. I want to make sure that if you are the learner, I am doing ways to find ways of encouraging and learning with you, but also finding ways that we can engage in a respectful dialogue. Comunidad, community, what does that look like on your campus? What do we do to find ways to encourage dialogue not only with our faculty and staff, our colleagues, our peers, and ultimately our students? Are there ways that we're making sure that community is an important facet that we are not only discussing, but we are encouraging? And that's something that we want to make sure that as individuals in this field, we're encouraging that conversation on a daily basis. If you're Cuban, or if you know anyone within the Latinx community, Jose Julian Martí is an important facet and an important individual of who we are. To me, this was someone that I was always told from, my father would always let me know as a very young man who this individual was. He is the poet and the father of Cuban independence. This is a quotation that to me really speaks volumes about what we're doing in our work. No se pueden hacer grandes cosas sin grandes amigos. You cannot do great things without great friends. So when we're thinking about those individuals, who are those folks that we're trying to make sure that we're incorporating and make sure that we're collaborating with? Are those our faculty, our staff, our students? And as we do that within our work, are we incorporating via a variety of different ways, including those that I've talked about earlier this afternoon with regards to our Latinx principles? This is an opportunity for me to share not only with you folks, but engage with you individuals with regards to what I've shared with you this afternoon. I hope if it's something new, that's great. If it's an opportunity that's been reinforced, I hope I've been able to do that over the course of this afternoon and in a way to share this with you folks. Again, thank you for this grateful opportunity, and I appreciate you spending the afternoon with me.